It just became like a circus, doing something to get in the press, you know. That was McLaren's thing, to keep the media thing going, and the music really kind of went out the window.
1 week after EMI dumped the Sex Pistols, A&M Records picked them up. Before EMI could get rid of them, it had to buy off the contract. And here they were, signing a new contract that could make them a lot of money, and they already had a song to record for A&M in honor of the Queen's Jubilee.
You thought you'd gotten rid of us, didn't you? But you were wrong, old bean, because we're back with a vengeance.
God save the Queen, my son.
At that time, nobody in England said anything bad about the Queen. There was this most incredible attempt to stop anybody hearing it and buying it.
We could no longer play anywhere. The records were never going to be heard on the radio. They were banned. We could take a boat on the Thames and we could play on the water, a quarter of a mile behind the Queen's flotilla. The boat was finally surrounded by the river police. I was arrested and spent the night in jail. And God Save the Queen did become #1.
You cannot affect change unless you attack the very things that are keeping you down. The class system in Britain, this is perpetuated continually by the very idea that you have a royal family there, and that's not to be tolerated.
The Sex Pistols' current record, God Save the Queen, is at #1 of the Capitol headline today. But the IBA, which administers the Broadcasting Act, has advised us that particularly at this time, this record is likely to cause offense to a number of our listeners. And have asked...
There was such paranoia around the city. Paul Cook was violently attacked. Johnny Rotten and Chris Thomas were attacked with knives. I, funnily enough, wasn't attacked at all.
We had to be careful because a lot of reactionary people come out of the woodwork, you know, and they just wanted to teach us a lesson, so they would say or whatever, you know. So it did get quite heavy, you know.
All this said and done, really, all I seen was a bunch of spotty kids being naughty. But somehow, it worked. We hit on something there, not deliberately so, instinctively.
The album came out. It was again a public scandal. The name was considered too vulgar, and we were destined to go to America to tour.
It was Malcolm's idea when the Pistols came over to America not to play the typical rock star hangouts, not to come to CBGB's and not to go to the Whiskey in Los Angeles, but to come and play in America. We played at bars that were basically in shopping centers, and we played someplace in Oklahoma City and Dallas and God knows where, all these places that were not really at all on any kind of standard rock tour route. But they were bars that local bands used to play in, so they would come in and just play for these people who wanted to hear rock and roll, and it was pretty rowdy and pretty loose and pretty real.
He fucking put us right out there in the boonies, you know, Deliverance. I felt like we were just like a circus, you know what I mean? And Sid was so out of it, he didn't care, he would fight anybody. Can't believe someone didn't get shot. I didn't give a shit about the music anymore. You know, it didn't matter. You know, it was all about, you know, just, we were all off the edge, totally wasted all the time, you know.
When you first go out on tour and you're out traveling in a coach for 10 months, and it's a shock to the system for a lot of people. Some people take to it better than others, and others start having to take pills, and you're partying a lot and staying up late, and you know, because you like it.
When we got to San Francisco, because so much was going on by that time, we just totally burnt ourselves. And I think everyone had had enough by that time. We didn't want to carry on.
Coming to America was like a nail in the coffin.
I drove almost 200 miles all the way from Silver Springs just to see it, and I enjoyed every minute. And I drive 200 more miles to see them again tomorrow night. I really enjoyed it. I think these people are where it's at right now.
It was great. That's what, music's meant to be. I think that's where rock is going and where it's going to stay.
No fog. This is no...
So my sound was really horrible. Nothing worked. I had a terrible cold. Sid was like fucked up. He didn't play any notes. And John was like, Mr. Righteous and, dig my life, you know what I mean? And the ego was fucking blown out of proportion. And I just thought when we was playing the shows, what the fuck's this all about? What's the purpose of this? This ain't how it used to be like, And we were playing like shit and everyone was loving it.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated? Good night.
When I said that on stage, ever get the feeling you've been cheated, I meant that for us. We had to perform this stuff because that's what it had become by then. Just stuff, just rock and roll, just trundling out night after night. It had lost its point. It was too much like a Rolling Stones on tour affair. Too big. And indeed, when things get that way, then you should stop. It's the easiest thing in the world to just stop. If you don't want to be a pop star, just stop being one.
The Sex Pistols came along, made an incredible amount of chaos, and then broke up, and left this, left everyone else to clean up their mess, I mean, the Ramones had to go out there and keep playing.
We kind of felt us and the Sex Pistols would become almost like the Beatles and the Stones of the 60s, you know what I mean? Like we were the new revolution, let's say, But America wouldn't have it that way.
And no record company wanted to touch anybody after the Sex Pistols who was in a punk band.
I like the Sex Pistols, but they were just there for a second. They were gone really fast, and by the time the Sex Pistols had come and gone, there were all these great LA bands playing.
Just after we'd figured out our bar chords, realized that we wanted to say more than fuck off. Even though there was some pretty cool ways of saying fuck off around at the time.
New Wave was watered down. That was the complete corruption of everything. That's where everybody tried to be nice all over again. And don't be nice, it's the kiss of death.